The 2015 Silver Gavel Award for books goes to Burning Down the House, The End of Juvenile Prison, The New Press.
Burning Down the House is a book that was written quite consciously to advance a much larger movement against the institution of the juvenile prison. I wanted to make a very reasoned, data-informed, and, to the degree possible, ironclad argument against juvenile incarceration in terms of its complete lack of efficacy and the damage that it wreaks. But before and beyond that logical argument, I also wanted to convey what it feels like to be locked up as a child or a teenager. I wanted to facilitate what I've heard described as the 2-foot drop from the head to the heart, because I'm not the first by any means to make the reasoned argument against incarcerating kids. It increases rather than decreasing the chance that they will go on to become adult prisoners. So it works explicitly against its stated aim. And that's pretty well known, yet we persist. So that's why the book is also infused with story and character, and a pretty conscious attempt to get people to connect emotionally with those we might otherwise distance ourselves from. I use the term juvenile prison to describe the institutions where we keep young people in this country quite consciously. Officially, there's no such thing as a juvenile prison. We have guidance centers and boys' ranches and treatment facilities and academies and what have you. But when I visited these places, I drove through razor wire. I showed my identification at a guard post. There were sally ports. There were metal bars. There was pepper spray. There were handcuffs, all the sort of accoutrements of a prison. And when I talked to young people who had been in these various institutions, whatever they were called, they described the experience of being prisoners. In confidential interviews, over 90% of all American teenagers acknowledge having done something not only against the law, but serious enough that under the law it could lead to their incarceration. So that's my kid, your kid, the neighbor kid, and I think if most of us look back to our own adolescence, me and you, the kids we lock up are not just disproportionately, but extraordinarily disproportionately black and brown and poor. If people walk away from the book with only one thing, I'd like them to understand that there's no child who doesn't make a mistake and no child who doesn't deserve the opportunity to learn and recover and move on from that mistake.
Accepting the Silver Gavel is Nell Bernstein, author.
Thank you. I do have a few thank yous because I don't think I've ever been or felt as supported in any endeavor as I have in creating this book. And I'm not going to go through everyone, but I do have some thank yous. I want to thank my family because not only did they sit through endless dinner table tirades on the subject, they offered insights, they asked questions, and probably most importantly, they challenged me. And I'm hoping that if I come home with a silver gavel, I'll have a little more control over that dynamic. But it really was useful. And on that same note, I need to offer my profound thanks to Bart Lubau, not only for constantly challenging me, but for being an inspiration, a mentor, and a conscience. He really became a persistent voice in the back of my head whenever I sat down to write. Will Roy, my researcher, was generous with his thinking and also relentless in keeping me honest throughout. Nate Bayless, as well as the communications team at NEEKC, had my back through the long and continuing process of making sure that the book reached its audience. And then the young people who shared their lives with me, including the most difficult parts. I don't even know how to thank them. But I do want to say that whatever insight the book provided, I owe to them. And I also owe to them whatever hope it offers, because they didn't just tell me what was wrong with the current system. They painted a very vivid picture of what it would take, what it will take to get things right. Finally, I'm, especially after that applause, grateful to everyone in this room and beyond this room who's allowed their mind to be changed in recent years, because there is a change happening, and we're nowhere near where we need to be, but it's a change, I think, of the scope that can't take place at the political level without first taking place in the hearts and minds of men and women. And that's why I want to end by thanking the ABA. Thank you.